4 months just flew by like nothing. Like literally, it was August, I recorded a show, there was a new pinball machine out, and then bang, here we are. It's 2019. We're in the future. We're living in the future. Today it's the future, and now it's also the future, and soon it will be the future. And we'll talk about the future of Coast to Coast Pinball here on episode 246. Let's go. Welcome to Coast to Coast Pinball. My name is Nate Shivers. This is a podcast. It is a commentary. I'm a man out of quarters. How are you? Good to be joining you all. Not live from sunny, beautiful, and warm. May I stress to you, warm. San Diego, California. Here on, I gotta look at this, Friday, January 4th, 2019. Happy New Year, everybody. I hope your holidays have been treating you well. Hope the New Year started off right. I'm sure you're all working on your resolutions. You're being nicer to each other. You're playing more pinball. You're taking care of yourselves. I'm sure that's happening out there. Positive thinking, right? Like I said, the last 4 months have been probably the busiest 4 months of my adult life. A lot of it revolving around work and not play, but that's okay. I was just glancing. I took a photo of I have one of those whiteboard calendars in my office back in Amsterdam at the Taylor Guitars European headquarters, and I draw out my calendar on it. I still like an analog whiteboard calendar. It's fun. And I have the digital side of it too, but I like to be able to look and kind of visually plan my time. And I'm looking at September, and September was crazy because in the first week I went to Prague, I went to Germany, I went to the UK for most of a week. I took a couple days of PTO in there. I had to burn some PTO days. Didn't really do much, more just looking for a place to live and all that good stuff. October, I actually left at the end of September, and I went to Asia on this trip that I've done twice now for the company. We went to a lot of places I can't even remember, like Korea, Japan, Singapore, Taiwan, Vietnam, Hong Kong, Shanghai, China for the Music China trade show for our industry. Flew back around through California all the way around the world and circled the whole globe in October. So that took half the month, just disappeared. Had a few days in the UK, a day in Ireland, PTO day again. Just trying to burn some of the PTO days by the end of the year. Oh my God, like the maid just knocked on my door in my hotel. It scared me to death. She knocked really loud, and I went and answered. I'm like, what's wrong? She goes, I want to see if you're okay. I heard yelling. I'm like, am I yelling? I was like, no, I'm recording a podcast. And she goes, what? I'm like, never mind. And I shut the door. Like I was saying, so November, I went on this 2-week trip in November with my boss and my boss's boss, the owner of our company. We toured through Italy and Spain for 2 weeks. Long trip, great trip. So that was 2 weeks. So that was like the 5th through the 18th or something like that. Just disappeared. A couple more days of PTO in there. Oh, what else? And then I went to the U.S. We had a sales summit the first week of December in San Diego. I flew back to Amsterdam. Was back in Amsterdam for 9 days. Then I flew back to the United States to end the year in the U.S. office. Flew to Oregon via Boise, Idaho, which, by the way, has an Addams Family pinball machine in the airport still. And saw my mom, saw my sister, saw my niece. Saw my mom's husband, good people, on the farm with the cows. On Christmas Day, I flew to my sister's house on the other side of Oregon, flew to Portland, saw my sister's husband, brother-in-law, saw their kids, niece and nephew, and, did some, then we drove to Bremerton, see my grandma and grandpa, they're older, got to go see them, late 80s, early 90s, so went and saw them, drove all the way back, quick trip. Made a really quick trip down to the coast, the Oregon coast. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Trip reports. Went to San Francisco for a day. Really quick trip. Trip reports coming up. Don't worry, we'll get to that. And now here I am in San Diego, awaiting my return flight to Amsterdam tomorrow evening on the 747. British Airways to London, London to Amsterdam, back in the office Monday morning. It's been like an insane 4 months. That's okay. I'm not making excuses. I'm just giving you reasons. I had a teacher when I was like in the 5th grade, 6th grade maybe. His name was Mr. Moss. He used to do lots of things that it left impressions on me. But one of the things he used to tell me is when I ask you why you didn't do your homework, there's reasons and there's excuses. An excuse would be, I got busy and my family was watching something and we didn't do that, blah, blah. That's an excuse. A reason would be, I don't know. I I got really sick and couldn't open my eyes. That's a reason and excuse. Reasons are legitimate things that happen. Excuses are things you had control over and could have fixed. I don't know. Sidetrack. It's going to happen. So that's been the last third of 2018. Here we are in 2019, looking forward, not looking back, not going anywhere. Somebody hashtag me retired pinball podcaster. How dare you? I'm not retired. I just took some time between episodes. Didn't know you missed me that bad. I'm not retired. This isn't a comeback. For a comeback, I have to be gone. I was never gone. Just, come on now. I don't know. Like Ric Flair once said, whether you like it or not, learn to love it, because it's the best thing going. Woo. Long live Ric Flair. Rest in peace, Gene Okerlund. Mean Gene. Well, let me tell you something, Mean Gene. I'm just kidding. All right. So, I got 5 fast thoughts for you. Let's do that.
5 fast thoughts.
Oh, that's right. High-pitched announcer voice. I got 5 fast thoughts. Fast thought. That's hard to say. Fast thought number 1. If you have the space and you're operating pinball machines, if you're one of those people that I don't think we appreciate enough sometimes, who are operators of pinball machines, if you have the space, you should add some older games to your lineup. I'm just saying. It really ties the room together. Throw in that old EM. Or if you're really scared of EMs, get some old solid-state games. Think about how, solid-state games from, the early 80s, how old they are now. I'm from the early 80s. I mean, I was born in 79. But, I'm basically from the early 80s. And I'm, old now. I'm vintage. I'm worn in pretty nicely. I fit like a nice old leather glove. So if you have a location and you've got all your new modern Stearns and Jersey Jack pinballs and they're shiny and the LEDs are shining and they're great and they're fun and they're making you money, man, give me something good. Give me I don't know. Give me some nice old Bally game that I can practice tap passing on in that lineup. Give me a Harlem Globetrotters. Give me a future spot. Go find a future spot. Put that in there. Give me an old solid state game. That'd be fun. So if you're operating pinball machines and you haven't even considered it, maybe you're like, those are old games. Nobody wants to play them. Throw them out there. See what happens. I played it 2 places. We'll talk about in a little bit in the last week. One had all new games and it was really great. I liked it. And then one that had all new games and some old games. I like that a lot too. So some old games. It'll do good for everybody, and your players will appreciate it because a lot of your top players in your local community may want to go play in a tournament someday like Pinburg, where they're going to be forced to play older games from the EM years, the solid state years, or the dot matrix years, and they need familiarity with some of those games, or at least how they feel and how the rule sets might work and how the flow of that game is and how the angles and where the ball moves. Yeah, throw some old games. I appreciate it. A lot of you do, but just if you haven't thought about it or you don't, try it out. Fast thought number 2. My shows. I keep getting emails saying that my shows won't download on iTunes. The Coast to Coast Pinball is hard to get and the backlog's unavailable. Well, I'm working on it. I promise you I'm working on it. We'll get them all back one way or the other. My podcast hosting site, Podcast Garden. Thank you, Podcast Garden. You've been so kind to me for all this free service you've given me for all these years. They're doing a file maintenance work apparently, and it's really complicated. Technical stuff. There's lots of 1s and 0s and X's and O's. Can't get into all that detail right here for you, but just know that they anticipate older files being available, quote, soon. So they will come back. Now, if that doesn't happen, there will come a point where I will just go digging through my external hard drives and former laptops and just go find all the episodes and someday spend a weekend and put them all up. I will have to do that because I agree. I love to be able to go listen to old archives of certain shows and podcasts and entertainment things. So thank you for caring. I've gotten a lot of emails on this, so thank you. I appreciate that. So my shows, we'll get them. I promise. Fast thought number 3. Friendly reminder. It's not real. Whether we're talking about a game, whether we're talking about a company, talking about a concept, talking about a business venture, anything. It's not real until it actually ships. Until it's built, boxed, and shipped and lands in your garage or in your place of business. So it's not real yet. So just be careful out there. I've had some emails about people sending money to companies for something that's not real yet. And that's okay. I'm okay with speculating and investing in and trying to prop up a startup. Nothing wrong with that if you know what you're doing. If you have the foresight to, I might be sending my money into the great abyss of of this is never happening. So just be careful out there. Everyone's different. Some people have money to burn, and what's important to them is to support somebody new who's innovating, who's trying to do something different, or who has an idea. And they want to help that person grow. But you need to know, if you're that person, that there's no guarantee you're going to get your game. So if you have to get your game, call a distributor who has games on the floor and you can get your game. Don't get upset when you send money into the great black hole of the Kickstarter, GoFundMes of the world type of things in our industry here in pinball, and nothing happens because it's not real yet. Fast thought number 4. Stern's Whoa Nelly Pabst Blue Ribbon Can Crusher / Primus pinball concept platform way of doing business. Pretty smart. I like that. I wasn't really a giant fan of Whoa Nelly just because, I don't know, the theme didn't land correctly on me. If I guess is how we'll put that. Just not really my thing. Seemed a little, I don't know, tone deaf to the current climate of the modern world, in my opinion. But the game itself, I thought was fine. I like the game. I like the old school, new school, like cross and the mix there. I think that's great. I think it's fantastic. So using that platform to retheme into sort of pet projects or really limited sort of pigeonholed little themes that you're just not going to sell 2,000 Primus pinball machines, so you can't put the development likely into. I mean, you probably could if you had a good game, you'd probably sell it. So I don't know. There's a caveat there, but much safer to do something that's more of like an art project, like what they did with the Jeremy Packer Zombie Yeti Zoltron art package with the Primus game. I think that's awesome, and they'll sell 100 of those, no problem. And Stern's in the manufacturing business first and foremost. They are a manufacturer. They need to build things. They need the line going. They need things getting in boxes and going out the door, going on the truck. So if they can do that by retheming Whoa Nelly into different sort of niche themed games aimed at, mostly collectors or people who are fans of something smaller like Primus. Primus is a much smaller band in the grand scheme of things than Metallica. Great. Awesome. Smart idea. I hope to see more of it. I love it. If you think you can sell 100 to 200, or I don't know how many Supreme pinball machines they actually sold, by kind of jumping onto the bandwagon of something that's hip and fashionable, which will also, by the way, get you the added advantage of marketing and press and, rah talk. Oh my gosh, did you see they sold a $50,000 Supreme pinball machine made by Stern Pinball from Elk Grove, Illinois? Yeah, that's smart. So do it. Do more of that if you're retheming your Spider-Man home game. I think that's brilliant. I'm all for it. All for it. So anyway, fast thought number 5. Strange layouts. Not a fan layout, not an open layout with a bash toy in the back, just strange layouts. I think that there's a faction of people who collect and play and spend their money and their hobby time on pinball who really think in their minds, I really want a strange, unique design, something way left of center. The danger in that is there's a reason why so many games sort of have similar styled layouts, because you're dealing with constrained space here. You can't expand too far outside your parameters. You can make a wide body game. I think that's even harder to do well. But if you're talking about a standard size pinball playfield and, both horizontally, vertically, and in depth, I'm an engineer, clearly. In all 3 dimensions there, under your glass, there's only so much you can really do, right? So I think sometimes, and I've played a few games in the last few weeks that were examples of this, the layout's either really crammed full of stuff or has really interesting, is a really nice word to use, angles and shots and layouts. They're often hard to make really fun or make, and this is the most important part, and this is what I really noticed on a game, who I'm not even going to name right now. But there's a certain game, newer manufacturer, I was playing, and I'm like, man, this just isn't fun. It looks pretty. It's got some cool things in the rule set. Callouts are kind of cool. But I'm making these shots, or trying to make these shots, and it just doesn't feel really good. And I think that's the danger in getting a little too, innovative with your layouts, and your creativity runs amok to a point. So just be careful there with your strange layouts. So those are my 5. Oh, I can't talk. Those are my 5 fast thoughts for this day, Friday, January 4th, 2019. Welcome to the fastest 2018 recap of pinball that you're going to hear on any podcast, I promise. Maybe. Guaranteed, maybe. Guaranteed, possibly, this will be the fastest 2018 review recap in pinball anywhere. Most of the time. I want to first of all thank Martin so much at pinballnews.com for his tireless effort, his rock solid dedication to providing pinball news on pinballnews.com. It makes it really nice. So I use his pinballnews.com 2018 review of the year as my guiding light here as I go back 365 days or 369 days maybe to look at what happened in 2018 because I can't remember. Because it seems like 2018 just like went by in a flash. But a lot of stuff happened. So we're going to recap 2018 from top to bottom, kind of using Martin's write-up that you should go look at and you should read because it's in a great journal-style format. I really like it. He summarizes, he says, there's no doubt 2018 made its mark in pinball history. I agree. So new games. What did Stern do? Stern is the big dog. Stern is the driving force. Stern is sort of where the conversation has to start. So Stern announced Guardians of the Galaxy in 2017 and shipped Guardians of the Galaxy for the most part in 2018. Okay? So, Guardians of the Galaxy. I like the game. It is obviously very reminiscent of other layouts, but weren't we just talking about strange layouts? So Guardians of the Galaxy doesn't jump way out of the box. It's a John Borg design. If you close your eyes and you squinted, you'd think it's similar to Metallica, and you'd be right. It is similar to Metallica, but they did different things with the rules. The rules have progressed and gotten to a better place, I believe. I think it's a fun game. I like it. I think it's a great theme as far as attracting people in. The Groot toy is fantastic. I have evidence. I have watched people who don't really follow pinball walk down a line of games and stop and look at certain games based on just that theme and just that toy, and Guardians of the Galaxy certainly did that. It's a good-looking game. It's colorful. It's bright. I like it. I think it's done pretty well. John Borg, who I've been saying for a while now is the real secret MVP of Stern Pinball, another solid effort, like a solid effort. I think there's not much bad you can say about Guardians of the Galaxy other than maybe it took a while for some people to feel the code was up to where it wanted to be. Maybe it needs to go farther. Probably. I like it. I haven't played it a ton, but I've probably put 50 to 60 games on it, and I really do like it. It's a game I would certainly recommend to someone if they're looking, to invest in a game for the home market and they like the theme. It's a good choice. That leads us to Iron Maiden. We had Keith Elwin on the show. I've proclaimed it possibly the greatest pinball machine of all time. I think that's a hard thing to say because there's so many games and there's so many things you might be looking for in pinball. And I guess when I said that, and I'll still say that, but when I said that, I'm really talking in terms of in the now, in the 2018-19 mindset of looking for fun and interesting shots, replayability, interesting rule sets, great lighting, great call-outs, good music. Iron Maiden has it all, and it has it all in spades. It's really the complete package. I played it a bunch in the last week, and I got to play a limited edition version and a premium, and I've really just, I love this game. I really want to own this game personally. I think this game's fantastic. It's a home run. If it doesn't win your pinball of the year in all your awards, wherever you have awards, I'm not following all that right now. But if you're thinking about what was the quote game of the year, it's Iron Maiden. So stop talking. It's Iron Maiden. Come on, stop it. So Stern knocked it out of the park, like out of the park, over the wall, past the people watching on the apartment building over there on the street, into the ocean or the bay or whatever it might be. I don't know. Absolutely great. A++. Deadpool. They released Deadpool this year. George Gomez came onto the show and talked about Deadpool. George Gomez, I think he designed a great game. I like the game a lot. This is a pretty good example of an interesting layout that doesn't stray too far from what does work and what does feel good, tried and true. I like it. I think that lock shot's really difficult, and if your game's not dialed in right, that lock shot can become like the bane of your existence. The lock shot to the right that loops around and across and up around into the sword. It's a difficult shot, but it's interesting. The whole concept, though, of fighting the characters the way you do and starting the fights and returning to the fights, and then the little Deadpool. I think it's cool. I'm a fan. I like it. I think it was a great year for Stern. I think it was a really, really solid year. I think they've hit their stride in giving people a fantastic package. When you buy a Stern pinball machine, you want the package. And we saw other games in the past sort of like kind of miss on those marks where there was some major thing where you kind of had to go, yeah, but if the artwork was better, or Yeah, but if like they had just had something else to shoot for, like I'm thinking back in my head about like Star Wars and thinking about Game of Thrones and thinking about Ghostbusters, and those games all have something that kind of like bothers me. And when I look at Guardians of the Galaxy, Iron Maiden, and Deadpool, that's really strong. That's like, you've hired good people. They're not overworked. They're able to be creative. The business is booming. Things are going good. That's impressive. Also, the Beatles Pinball, the second cooperation with Mr. Kamikow and Kapow Pinball. Obviously, the first one was the Batman 66 game. This is the Beatles. It's really interesting. I haven't seen one in person. I've read about it extensively. Obviously, we all know where the influence came from on this game. I think it's a great idea. I know it's a difficult license to work with. I know your hands are tied. It wasn't what I expected at all. Like, when I'd heard this was coming a while back, in my head, I was like imagining Yellow Submarine cartoon Beatles. That's really what I was imagining. It's just, in my head, it was going to be Yellow Submarine cartoon character Beatles, like big mustaches, crazy hair and airs of smoke behind the guys, because it was that time in their history, and like it wasn't what I thought at all. Now, I get it being Beatlemania. I get it being the takeover of the UK artists and the British invasion. I get that. I get it. It's cool. It just wasn't what I expected at all. So I'd like to see one in person. It's colorful in a way that I don't know if I relate to exactly. The blues and purples have sort of just a different feel and vibe. I don't know. It looks okay, but from what I've heard from the few people that I've actually asked, like, what did you think? They said it's really fun and really good and has, a nice feel. So, it's the Beatles. So it's another one of those instances where Stern, knocks it out of the park with the theme. I have got to get to play the game and see the game to judge the rest of it, but you did a Beatles machine. You were going to sell 2,000 of those pretty darn easily. So, anyway, the Beatles. Obviously, I mentioned in Five Fast Thoughts the Supreme game, the Primus game. I think those are just really smart. Spooky Pinball this year announced Alice Cooper's Nightmare Castle at the Texas Pinball Festival. Charlie went full in on the Alice Cooper theme. I think it was a smart theme for them in a lot of ways. It's in their wheelhouse because you've got rock music, which has been proven to be successful in pinball. You've got a horror, dark, macabre sort of artist in Alice Cooper, so that plays right into Spooky Pinball, obviously, and just pinball in general sort of works with, monsters and ghosts and goblins and straitjackets and all that. So I think that's great. I hope that does well for them. I don't know how well that's done for them, but I really hope it's done well. I've played it really briefly. It's an interesting layout. It's a very interesting layout. I didn't get a good feel for the game in my brief moments. I need to spend more time with it. I think that remains to be seen what my final thoughts are on that game. I played TNA a bunch this year, which I know wasn't released this year, but I got to play a bunch of it this year. Really fun game. Really, really fun game. It's definitely a multiplayer game. Everyone says it. Everyone says, oh, it's more fun with friends. I agree. The game's awesome. Just played it the other night in San Francisco. A lot of fun. Hard. That game's hard. It's fast. It's brutal. It's fun. So, that's good stuff. So we had Chicago Gaming, Monster Bash remake. So let's just look at this from a 10,000 foot view real quick on what Chicago Gaming has done. Chicago Gaming has looked at the market and said, "Oh my gosh, there's these games from the 90s where pinball was at its peak at that time. The best games ever were being designed in the 90s, but the business of pinball was dying a death. It was falling off. It wasn't healthy. So not a lot of these games A got made or B got sold." And so now in the aftermarket, they're selling for way above what a new in-box Stern game sells for. You had Monster Bash is selling for 10, 12, 14,000. Attack from Mars selling for 10, 12, 14,000. Medieval Madness is crazy. So years ago, they announced Medieval Madness. They sold a bunch of them. Took a while. They even had Stern building them. Then they go with Attack from Mars. They put out a really cool Attack from Mars with upgrades on it now, with a better display available. Really cool. Plays really nice. I've played a bunch of these remakes. I'm all in on the remake train. I think it's... Trying not to swear. I think it's awesome. I think it's a great move. It's a smart move. It's a great way to carve out your part of this pinball resurgence from a business point of view. Now, to the collector who has these games, probably slightly annoyed. I get it, but I don't really care about that I'm just more wanting good pinball out in the world. And those are great games. They're tried and true games. They're fun to play, and come from an era when, man, it was like magic what they did with these original themes. So, really like it. I haven't played a Monster Bash remake, but I see they're shipping. See people are happy to get a Monster Bash. I'd love to have one too. That of the three games is the tough one because a lot of people say, "Oh, it's so easy. Monster Bash is too easy. You get bored with it." I still would like to have it. I mean, I don't have space for it, but I would love to have it. It's still fun. Still cool. American Pinball, Oktoberfest. You know, I think it's an interesting move. It's a gutsy move. It's a good looking game. It has a real pretty look to it, a busy look. I haven't played one. I haven't touched one. I don't know. I'm not sure. I need more. We need to let some more time go on Oktoberfest. Houdini. So I've played Houdini. I've played Houdini quite a bit now, and Houdini is a great looking game. I don't love the feel of the Houdini games. I don't. The shots don't feel good to me. It very much feels like somebody who did because they could. They made a really pretty game with lots of shots because they could. I think some of the integration of the theme is actually brilliant. I think it's awesome. I think that some of the call-outs are amazing. I don't like the feel of the game. That's my opinion. I'm glad American Pinball is there. I'm glad they're building games. I think a theme like Houdini is incredibly smart because when you look at certain things that are in the public domain, whether it's Alice in Wonderland or I had some others in my head before, like the Bible, things like that are you don't have to actually license. I think that's really smart for pinball because you can kind of mix something familiar with something really original and new. So I like a lot of what's going on with American Pinball's Houdini. I haven't felt the gameplay like the way I'd want it to. It's a tough one for me to recommend to anybody but the hardcore collector who does want to own. It's a piece of history. The American Pinball could be here for a long, long time making a lot of games. So, this is a historical game. I have an American Pinball's Haunted from Spooky, which some people say the same thing. Some people really don't like the way that game plays. They don't like the call-outs. There's things that are, rough on the edges of that game. Certainly. And I love that game for the whole package that comes with it. But there's a lot of people who just wouldn't buy that game because it isn't really to them worth $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. And I feel that way a little bit about Houdini, but I do understand people wanting to have, the first game from a company. I get that totally. Going through the rest of the new games listed on here, Multimorphic and Jerry's P3 platform, and then his games with Lexi Lightspeed Escape from Earth, and they have filled their pre-orders. That's awesome. New orders are shipping quickly. That's fantastic. I think the big question that always lingers over P3 and Multimorphic is this pinball? Because it's kind of pinball. It's pinball, but is it pinball? This is a pinball machine. It's got flippers, and I'm flipping, and I move the ball up there. But it's something different, and it's been an incredibly gutsy and I think hard project to carry on his shoulders as Jerry had. But man, difficult because it's pinball, but is it pinball? You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of other smaller games coming out. We've seen the game The Mafia from Team Pinball. From I believe South Wales. Interesting. I don't know a lot about it. I'm hesitant. I'm hesitant is the word I like to use to promote things that aren't super real to me, if that makes sense. It was interesting seeing Kingpin get announced this year by Circus Maximus. I think that's cool. I think it's kind of like hedging your bet and having a safe project because Kingpin's something that a lot of people think, if they just make Kingpin, I'd buy one. Well, okay, you're gonna get your chance. Pretty cool that Mark Ritchie joined the team. I respect Mark Ritchie a lot, smart man. So that'll be interesting to watch. I think that's really a 2019 story. I think Deep Root Pinball is a 2019 story. Friend of the show, friend of mine, Steve Bowden, moved his life to Texas for Deep Root. So there's a lot of things happening. Got Barry Orsler, John Papaduke. There's all these kind of big names at Deep Root. There's money at Deep Root. Something's happening. Mr. Nordman's at Deep Root. I don't. That's a story. That's a developing story. It's not real yet though. So be careful. interesting year for other companies. We saw the kind of the death of some companies. We saw Highway Pinball go away. Dutch Pinball has failed at being able to build Big Lebowski games. Jersey Jack built some Pirates of the Caribbean. They didn't release or announce anything new. That Jack's sort of promising 2 new games in 2019, and he's even telling people, don't buy anything until you see what we've got coming. So that I'm interested. Pirates of the Caribbean, I think it had it's stubbed its toe on the 3-spinning disc debacle. That obviously made some people upset, but I think what they've put out's a great game. I think Pirates of the Caribbean is really nice. I think Dialed In, Pirates of the Caribbean, it's pretty nice 1-2 punch. I like both games a lot. I've really grown to like Dialed In. I think the shots feel great. I think it's interesting. There's an interesting layout I like, and of course that interesting layout's from Pat Lawler, who, if you said to me, hey, hire somebody to design a pinball machine to save your life, but it has to be, different and interesting and weird, it'd be Pat Lawler, of course. So Dialed In, Pirates of the Caribbean, I think good games. I think it's really great that Jersey Jack's been able to get games out, and competition is good, and we want, other manufacturers offering products in the marketplace. That's a good thing. I'm not going to touch much on Home Pin. I think that game's not that great, Thunderbirds. I think it's pretty bad. Unfortunately, I think, Mike at Home Pin has talked a big game. I think his idea of building in China is actually really smart. I think there's probably a lot that could be done with Chinese manufacturing and building there, but I just don't think the game's very good. I think that the theme doesn't hit me, obviously, but beyond that, looking past the theme, just shooting the game, it's just not that great. And I think the market's sort of spoken to that too. So not much to say about that. I know there's some other smaller companies announcing games, but I'm just doing the recap of the major stories here, trying to hit the high notes. Be careful, people. Be careful. Now, where you don't have to be careful, and what I think is really an awesome thing to see is the energy and excitement that still continues around pinball shows and pinball tournaments and, pinball podcasts and streams. There's still a lot of energy going into that. And whether it's Jack Danger and his tireless work on Dead Flip, whether it's the Texas Pinball Festival, Pinball Expo having sort of a new look this year, shows coming back to the UK, the Dutch Pinball Open took place in November. There's still a lot of energy around that. There's great shows there's like too many great shows. There's great shows on top of great shows. You've got It Never Drains in Southern California happening next weekend here in SoCal. You've really got a lot of options. You can have a fun year playing pinball, and I think that's awesome. Competitive pinball still thriving. It's awesome. It's Raymond Davidson, man, best player in pinball right now. Greatest player in the world playing pinball right now at a competitive level. So I love seeing it. I track it. I follow it. I think it's awesome. It's good stuff. The downloads of this show this year, very few shows this year, I know, but the downloads were kind of staggering. Thank you. The Keith Elwin show, the George Gomez show. I mean, when I see, shows getting over 10,000 downloads and I'm barely releasing shows, it really, thank you. I appreciate that. And to everybody else doing podcasts and doing streams, thanks for the energy. It's fantastic. And we're all doing this because we love pinball, right? We want to be a part of it. We want to do something and feel like we're taking part in the hobby in our own special way. So anyway, 2018 was a crazy year for me. My life changed a lot and it's continuing to change, and in good ways. Work was amazing. I didn't play as much pinball as I would like. I'm moving to a new place soon that has lots of room, or at least some room for pinball. So I'm going to have some games at home again soon, which will be fantastic. But yeah, just so to summarize 2018, I think there's good stuff out there. I think your blue chip players had great years, good years. I think there's lots of places to spend your money. Location pinball, man, go play. That's what's so fantastic about this hobby. You don't have to spend $5, $6, $7, $10,000 on a game to take part. This isn't like being into Porsches or something. I have a boss who's really into Porsches. That's an expensive hobby. I got to tour the Ferrari factory in Italy last month or a month and a half ago, and you want to talk about expensive hobbies? Yikes. So the fact that you can take $10 down to your local arcade or your local pinball spot for location games and have a nice evening or a fun time, man, that's great. That's something I think most of us can and do, and support those operators out there who I don't think we thank enough, and I don't think we're aware of how much work and effort for not a lot of love back their way is being put out there. So thank you, because I think just for everybody who's hosting a podcast, there's somebody also going to work in an arcade, cleaning games, routing games, moving games around, doing that. It's all the same. It's all people putting energy into something they like, and if you can make a living out of it, awesome. Congrats to you. I wish you all the best. So 2018 in the books. Yeah, we got some trip reports for you. I've been traveling a lot. It's like I have 2 suitcases with me, and I've been like trying to do laundry wherever I can, because it's just been like a 2.5 week trip. And I'm just, man, it's a struggle. So I want to touch on 3 spots that I've seen, and I've played as much pinball as I possibly could in the last half year or so. Just trying to get out and put quarters and euros in machines. So 3 spots of note that I want to go over. First one, trip report, SS Billiards, just outside Minneapolis proper in Minnesota. Lloyd the Great, Lloyd the Goose, Prod of the Dog, fantastic. I got to finally stop by SS Billiards, and once I kind of defrosted, it was cold outside, but it was really warm inside. I was treated to an old school pinball parlor, and it was nice. Games were in fantastic shape. Lloyd was a pleasure to talk to. I got to play some Jersey Jack Pirates of the Caribbean. He's got all the Jersey Jack line up there, which makes sense because he does the service, works in the service team for Jersey Jack, or is the service team or something. So that was nice. I think he had a Attack from Mars remake. He had a Medieval Madness remake. He had some of the latest, greatest stuff in the room, and that was awesome. Prada the Dog needs your pets. You gotta stop and pet Prada when you come in. So enjoy that. But if you're outside, if you're around Minneapolis, by all means hit up SS Billiards. I also did play at GameWorks in the Mall of America. That's fine. It's cool. I played some Deadpool there, but really go to SS Billiards. Support Lloyd. Lloyd's been a great part of this community for a lot longer than I've been around, so I bow down to Lloyd the Great. Can't tell you how much fun it is to finally get the picture outside the SS Billiards sign. Just recently, in the last week, I was driving down to Newport, Oregon. I was driving from where my sister lives in McMinnville, Oregon, down to Newport, Oregon, because I wanted to go see the coast. The Oregon coast is beautiful. It's rocky. It's wild. It's rough. I love it. And I was driving, headed down there to stay the night, and it was raining. Shocker. And through the rain, I saw that beautiful, beautiful sight that you see sometimes, a neon light that says pinball, and another one that said Stern Pinball. I'm like, stop. I didn't know this was here. This is not here. Pinball's growing, and so I find myself in places I'm familiar with that now have pinball. It's awesome. So I swung into this place, and it was called Game Over. It's like a big arcade and sports bar type place in Lincoln City, Oregon. And man, what a fantastic lineup of pinball machines. I mean, all the new Sterns, New Jersey Jack games, got a beautiful dialed in played there. Played a bunch of, Iron Maiden, Deadpool, Star Wars, Ghostbusters, just a lot of games. They had some other classic games too. Played a really nice Whitewater example. So, man, Newport to Lincoln City to Pacific Beach, I guess up that whole route. If you're down on the far west coast of the Pacific Northwest in Oregon, you've got a great bank of pinball machines waiting for you in Lincoln City at Game Over. Places like that just didn't really exist. At least there were some of them, but there just weren't very many of them 5 years ago. And now they're popping up, and I love it. It's fantastic. So if you're in Oregon, definitely go support the coastal arcade that is Game Over. Also, I had a chance to take a very way too brief trip to the Bay Area, San Francisco, if you will. I had about 14 hours I could go to San Francisco for, so I did it. I went for it. And I dialed up my buddy, Gene X Wong, friend of the show, Gene X Wong, and I said, hey, man, are you in town? And he's like, yeah, I'm in town. And Gene, who resides originally from Alabama, came back home from the holidays and met up with me, and we went to Free Gold Watch, which is the best named pinball location in the world. There's no competition. It wins it every year in my fake Coast to Coast Pinball Awards that don't exist. Best named pinball location is Free Gold Watch. 1 part screen printer, 1 part badass pinball arcade. So Free Gold Watch has a ton of great games. I can't even name them all, but they have some EMs in a room. They have a Fathom. They have a really where else is there a Fathom on route? Come on, folks. There's a Fathom. Go play your Fathom. All the new games. They had a Pirates of the Caribbean, which I played a bunch. Got a bunch of multi-balls going on that. I still don't fully understand Pirates of the Caribbean, but I played it a bunch, loved it. Gene's a better pinball player than I am. I think I only beat him at one game. Maybe Wheel of Fortune. I think I might have won that one, maybe. But he beat me at everything else. Like, I thought I had a good, like, last ball in Monster Bash where I killed some monsters, got some monsters, collected some band members, whatever you're doing. And then he got all the way to Monster Bash and just blew the game up and made me look silly. But that's okay. It's the fun of it. So I bought this. I bought the hoodie, you know. You got to buy the hoodie. You go to Free Gold Watch, you buy the hoodie. Really, really awesome. It was cold. It was cold in San Francisco. And it's chilly, and they have the big door open on the one end. So I avoided the games right by the outside and played the ones more inside. But man, you guys are lucky in the Bay Area, because I know there's a lot of great pinball over San Francisco and Oakland, just like up in Portland, Seattle. I know there's a bunch, but Free Gold Watch is just kind of like it's got great art hanging on the walls. It's kind of like it's like warehouse feeling. It's perfect. This is just how I like pinball in a lot of ways. So the staff's friendly. I don't know. Free Gold Watch, man. As far as trip reports go, A+++. Loved it. Thank you, Gene. Gene found us some great Indian food that night, and we got to talk and catch up. I have friends in this hobby industry that I don't ever get to see anymore, so it was really nice to see a friendly face. Gene's one of the great photographers that I've ever known, so he was talking about his photo work, and we're going to have Gene on the show in the not-too-distant future, and we're going to talk pinball probably after it never drains, in disc, if you will, in SoCal. He's going to go down there and play in that tournament, so we'll get a trip report from him on in disc in the next few weeks, and hopefully Gene will be, reoccurring cast member of Coast to Coast Pinball in 2019. That's the plan, anyway. I haven't told him that yet, but now he might know. So anyway, Free Gold Watch, San Francisco, do it.
Check the email.
I feel just even guilty even going to the mailbag, because my mailbag is kind of gross. It's got a lot of unanswered emails and a lot of emails I read and felt really warm and fuzzy about, and then just had to keep moving on. But I went back and collected a few from the past. I still get, a few emails a week. So I collected the past from the last couple of months that I thought would work well with this show. I'm already running low on time, so we're gonna blast through these real quick. Oh, I actually have to not look at my notes because that's not where the emails are. Here we go. Hey, Nate. I hope you're staying warm over there in Scandinavia. All right, let's stop right now. The Netherlands is not part of Scandinavia. Scandinavia makes up Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Finland. The Netherlands is in central western, in the main part of Europe, in the western coast of Europe. The Netherlands is next to Germany. Denmark is above the Netherlands, but also France and Belgium and Switzerland are not that far from the Netherlands. It's all kind of down there, so check them out. It's not Scandinavia. Anyway, moving on. Hopefully the cold winter months will give you a chance to get back into recording podcasts. Well, that's what we're doing right now. Anyways, I hope you're doing well. I recently started seeing someone new. Congratulations. And felt so weird having to explain to them my near obsession with pinball. It went over better than I expected, and as we've become more of a couple, she has even asked me to take her to play a few times. We have lots and lots of games here to play in the great Tacoma, Seattle area, and have gone a few times. The big things I wanted to bring up to you was that the games are just so complicated for a newbie. I've actually spent time researching all the rules of the games at a location before we go, and even made notes in my phone of certain easy-to-understand goals on certain games like Monster Bash or Attack from Mars. The problem is my, quote, girlfriend is super drawn to games based on themes like The Hobbit and Star Wars. These games have proven to be fun as she likes a theme, but I barely understand the rules, and trying to teach someone else is very difficult and can be frustrating. So I will leave you with an open-ended question I know you have discussed on the show before, but still seems very real. He uses lots of 3 dots at the end of sentences like I do. Are pinball games too complicated? ? Happy New Year. I wish you the best in 2019, Marcus. Marcus, yeah, they are too complicated. They are too complicated. They need to be too complicated because they're being sold into people who are taking them home, and you don't want to sell something to someone they'll get bored of because they might not buy your next one. So this is the balancing act that a pinball manufacturer has to struggle with a little bit right now. Is Gary Stern says easy to learn, hard to master. That's true. I have had this experience recently showing people pinball and trying to show them what to do. So first of all, you got to learn how to even flip and get a hold of the ball and shoot the ball, blah, blah, blah. But once you get to that, it's what do I do here? How are you scoring so many points and I'm not? Well, when the answer is, I have to light my 6x multiplier and then stack it on top of this mode, that sounds like gibberish. That sounds like the adults in Charlie Brown talking to you. So there needs to be some options somewhere on the playfield, somewhere in the game, somewhere in the rule set where it's, you shoot that, and that, and it starts that. Some games are really good at that. Some games are really bad at that. I was playing, I'm trying to give you an example in real time here. I was playing, I don't know. You know what I'm saying, though, everybody. Sorry, I'm totally not coming up with a great example of one that does it well. I think, Total Nuclear Annihilation. You're trying to kill the reactors. You lock the balls in this chute, and then you shoot that thing, fight the reactors. That's pretty good. You can do that. Pirates of the Caribbean. I really like this game. It's awesome. But, oh my gosh, it's complicated. I don't know what to do. And I'm, looking at Gene, X Wong, and I were, looking at the game, and I've got, they're good about, making something flash that's hey, when this is flashing, you've shot it enough to start a cool mode. But the problem is, the shot names and, the colors don't correspond to the things at the bottom you'd think they might. I was just confused. So it's a balancing act, because I think the depth is necessary in the modern game when we're spending $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 on a game. I think that the depth is part of the package, right? But I think it's also really, really important that when you're going through all this effort as a company to get a theme to draw people in, which works. I've seen people run up to Batman 66 oh my gosh, I love the old Batman, but then have no idea how to start the villain shots. Or no, it's oh, shoot the phone. Okay, I shot the phone, now what? You need to really spell it out and make it simple. And we have talked about this on the show before. I know Josh Sharp has got on here and said it's way too complicated. And it is. But it needs to be. So we also need to have that simple side in there. There needs to be that really obvious shoot Sparky a bunch of times and you'll get a multi-ball. That's a good one. Shoot Sparky till all those lights fill up. Do that. Do that and you're going to have a good time. So, yeah, Marcus, I agree. Marcus, congratulations on not only finding someone cool to hang out with and spend your free time with, but also someone that is into your pinball obsession, because that could be tricky. I've met people who I think when I said, oh yeah, I'm really into pinball, they look at me like I'm an alien, like I had a third head growing out of my neck or whatever. So anyway, thanks for the email. Yes, they are too complicated, and that's okay. Here we go. Hi Nate, I can't tell you how much I miss the golden days of You know what? Stop. Who's this from? Patrick in New York. These are the golden days. You just don't know it yet. The golden days of C2C when I never knew how many shows you might release in the same week. Well, you still never know. I'm now considering making my first new in-box purchase and was wondering if you could lend me any opinions on your favorite game with home purchase in mind in the past 2 years or so. I'm leaning towards a Deadpool since I'm a huge comic junkie and Deadpool is literally my favorite character ever. It surprises me so much to see love for the movies and now a pinball dedicated to Mr. Wade Wilson, aka Deadpool, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so basically saying, what should I buy? Well, I think Deadpool would be a great game to buy. I think it'd be a lot of fun to buy. I'm in this mode right now of what do I want to buy? And I think I told you earlier, I want to buy an Iron Maiden. I want to have an Iron Maiden. Now, I like deals. When I go shopping for cars, I'll say, I want that car or one of these if I found a great deal on it. So I'm kind of in that mode. I'm like, I want an Iron Maiden, but if I found a Walking Dead that was a good deal in the Netherlands or Germany or somewhere I could go get it, I'd be open to buying a Walking Dead. I'd buy a Star Trek. I like Star Trek a lot. I'd buy an AC/DC. There's some games like that if I'm not hung up on new unbox that I would gladly go buy. If I have to have an unboxing moment, if I have to have the big brown box to unbox, if you're into the hard rock and the heavy metal, Iron Maiden's a no-brainer to me. If you want something that's grandiose and big and, I don't know, Pirates of the Caribbean's a good choice. I think it's a beautiful package. It'll look great at home. But I think if you're going to have one game, myself personally, and this is me thinking not just collecting, but also going out and playing in local tournaments and trying to become a better pinball player, I would buy something in a standard size. So Dialed In, Iron Maiden, Guardians of the Galaxy is a good game. If it's themed that really makes you happy, if you're going to wake up, and I tell people this about guitars all the time, because people say, oh, well, these higher end expensive guitars, they're just more money because they're prettier, right? Like they have fancier inlays or fancier woods or something like that. That's the only thing. They're not actually sound any better or constructed any more precisely. And maybe to a degree there is some truth in that at times, and you're paying for rarer materials or more handwork on the inlay that doesn't really affect the playing. However, what I would tell anybody in this situation or with pinball, if you buy a game that has a theme that really speaks to you, that really you love, like me with Doctor Who. Doctor Who's kind of a limited game. The rule set's got some breaks in it where you can kind of exploit the game. However, I love the theme. I love it. And it would make me wake up every day and be like, oh, I want to play this game. I want to play this. That's why I bought Metallica. Metallica was such a pretty art package and such a great theme. I knew I'd want to keep playing, even when I knew all the shots like the back of my hand. So if a theme really speaks to you, or if a guitar just looks right to your eyes, buy it. You'll play it more, and you'll get better because you play it more. Right? So if you go buy the cheaper guitar, if you go buy the cheap Asian-built guitar, it's like, oh man, this is a good value. You did the value buy. This is a great value. You know, if you go buy what game should I pick on right now? If you go buy the Flintstones game that's like been on route for 7 years, 17 years, 27 years, I don't know, whatever. The Flintstones game that's all messy and a mess, but it was a really good deal because you got it for like $1,200, but you don't play it. Is that really worth it? When you really wanted, what really was going to make you happy was a Johnny Mnemonic, because you just think that's really an underrated movie that deserves more attention. And Keanu Reeves is really a good-looking chap. You buy the Johnny Mnemonics, you play it more, and you'll enjoy it more. It might not be as good of a deal, but it's what you wanted. So if Deadpool speaks to you, if that masked anti-hero tears at your heartstrings, Patrick in New York, go buy Deadpool. Enjoy it. It'll be a great 2019 with Deadpool in your house. I got more. I got like pages of notes still. 2019 is going to be really good. I'm going to go to Pin Masters in Las Vegas. I'm going to go to Montreal and go see North Star in February. I'm going to go see some other places that I can't talk about yet. I'm going to go do a bunch of stuff. We're going to do another podcast the next few days. Stern's got a new game coming out next week, ladies and gentlemen. Don't call it a comeback. I ain't going anywhere. I've been here. This is not some resurrection story. This is not me getting back into it. This is not that. I'm here. I love it. I'm going to be here. Just got to get the flow going. We're going to get the flow going and get that on-the-fly shot going where you can just sit down and start talking pinball and actually know what you're talking about sometimes. Anyway, thank you for listening. Happy New Year, everybody. So good to be here. Until next time, play more pinball, take care of yourselves, and whatever the other thing was. Later.
Be nice to each other.